Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode. These are all going to be coming at you rapid fire. Um, so we have a special guest here. We have Father Vinh. Father Vinh Pham. That's correct, right? Father Vinh,
Yep.
and you right now. Where are you stationed? Where have you been? Um, where are you from? What all these questions we have?
Well, you have as many questions as I have for answers. Every time people ask me, it's like, that's a loaded question. It's like being a missionary priest and going from everywhere, but currently in Cincinnati. I think if I go backwards, it might be a little bit easier. You can tell me to stop when you want me to stop.
Okay.
Cincinnati right now. I've only been here for a couple months. Going back here, and I was in CDC for 3 years. I did youth work there, helped with the campsite there, did some conquests and programs like that. So I was a deacon for a year, and then I was 2 years a priest in DC. I did theology in Rome, and before Rome, I was actually in Cincinnati, where I am now. So it's just going through the back through all the stages of formation. But right now, actually, currently in Cincinnati, I do travel quite a bit because I do preach. I reach out to several different movements, different groups, ministries, and so spiritual direction is one of the biggest ones one of the bigger things that I do. Some local, so I travel. I work with a Vietnamese group, which actually is national. So that actually is where most of my travels come in
Okay.
and meetings
Wow.
like death by meeting. There's a book named that, so that's pretty much what how I live. Yeah.
That's a tough job. Meetings, I only have to do a meeting every once in a while, and let me tell you, um, nothing tests your patience quite like a meeting. Um, so,
A well-ran meeting is not bad.
oh, okay, okay. Well, I mean, do you have those?
We do. Actually, we work with really high caliber, very intelligent people who could piece these things together, and I just feel so humbled. I was like, you do your thing, and I'm just gonna be me. This is all I've got. No, but it's beautiful. I learned so much from some of these people.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the lay people we work with. Yeah.
Okay. How many people are in your group that you say you travel with or
No,
through?
so I pretty much work alone.
Okay.
You mean like the different, like last night, I was with young Catholic professionals, and I'm gonna give a retreat for Seton missionaries
Okay.
in a couple weeks. I was out in the summer for a month with Focus missionaries. So it was mostly university students. It's primarily because I do vocation work,
Okay.
but that's my primary task. So it could be very vast in what I do. But actually, I don't think I'm a good vocation director. So, but that's for another conversation.
Why do you say that though? I don't. You seem like you have the personality
Um,
for it. I don't.
because I encourage most people to get married,
Okay.
and because I myself was gonna get married,
Right.
and like I dated, I think I mentioned
Yeah.
with you maybe in our team
Yeah.
because
No,
I
you
was
were dating for what? 25 years before you.
I was 25 years
Oh,
old.
you were 25 years old. But you're dating her for what? 7 years? 8 years? Is that how long?
7 years,
7 years.
great memory, yeah,
Yes,
seven
I remember that
years.
story.
Yeah, so it was just like so just that experience, merging that with what I do now in my life. I know that let's say I meet 1,000 guys. Five,
Yeah.
maybe 10 will have a call to the priesthood,
Hmm.
and of that calling a fraction to the legionary life. So what about the other 995 of them? And so it's actually the same qualities that's required for a priest is what is required for to be a husband,
Hmm.
to be a boyfriend. And so it's actually the exact same pitch. So most of the time, and I end up preparing the guys to be boyfriends and then husbands. And that's actually the things I love most. And then if a priesthood spurs from there, we'll go from there.
Hmm.
But other than that, it's so really most of my work is preparation for marriage. So it's like, but don't tell my apostolic director.
Well, but the thing is,
I'm
I
just
mean,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I
No.
I
love
don't know if
it.
anyone else wants to hop in on this, but I think that's a really healthy outlook. Because if you just try and push everyone down
Yeah.
the same funnel, you're just going to end up ruining people. And
No,
instead,
I
you're
tell more people that
yeah, that's
it's not their
it's
vocation.
good for both parties. Like you don't want people
Yeah,
going through who
yeah,
don't who just shouldn't have been put there. It's a waste of time
yeah,
and resources for the Legion, and it's also like a waste of time for the people who shouldn't be in it.
exactly.
It's funny. You're like, I'm not a good vocations director, and then all of your like the ways you go about it, I'm like, that's the best vocation director I could
Yeah.
like imagine.
Like if you
Like,
go to
You want to hear my 1 minute pitch? Oh
yeah,
God,
no,
sorry,
go ahead,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's no, no. I want to hear this. Yeah.
Because usually I'll go up against, come up with university students, and I say, and they don't really know I'm a vocation director. Many times I'll just come out before my speech or my talk, and I'll say, well, I'm a vocation director, and you see like the eyes kind of like lean to a different direction. It's like, nope, not for me. And then I was like, okay. And you're probably not going to be called to be a priest, right? Even worse, one with vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience is so binding. I was like, that's fair. That's totally fair. And it's like, no, Father, I want to have a family. I want to be a husband. I want to have children. It's like, so you're telling me you don't have the capacity to to sacrifice what you want to do for somebody else fully, right? So you that's okay. That sounds fair too. So you're telling me you can't take all the goods that you have, all the things that you make, the money that you make from work, whatever. You're not willing to share that for the good of another person? That could be fair too, because you want to build up your whole gaming network, whatever, you build up your car. Or another one, you're not willing to sacrifice your relationship with other people to uphold or elevate one single relationship or one person. Okay, so if you can't do all three, you shouldn't date because you shouldn't drag another person into the relationship with you and take them for yourself. You're selfish. And then, okay, let's say you could do two out of three, or sometimes I could do one out of three, or roughly a little bit of everything. That's usually the case, right? But if you go into a relationship thinking, I need somebody else to serve me, that she needs to have all three. She needs to give me her relationship, like her fidelity. She needs to give me her things to share with me. Needs to give me her will, basically, to do what I want to do as well. Then you are very selfish. You're asking somebody generous to be with someone selfish. But Father, that kind of stinks. That's kind of harsh. It's like, okay, fair. There is a way. There is a way to make this work. In your current state, go find other selfish girls. Doesn't that sound fair? Leave the generous ones for other generous guys who are willing to sacrifice and do that. And then if you're willing to
I
do
feel
that,
like I've been
yeah.
I feel like I've been doing that for James. Okay, that was a bad joke. I so what would you? Okay, I love this pitch. I completely agree. And what would you tell someone who has commitment issues where they're because that's me. Just someone who's like always looking on the other side, or like you find someone, but then you're thinking, oh, maybe there's something on the other side of the fence or something. Do you ever give spiritual direction in that kind of sense where maybe somebody kind of knows what they want a little bit, but they're kind of struggling to seal the deal, so to speak? Or
I do. I actually, it's very often because of the age that I work with. This is a very, very common issue that comes up into, and so many times it's like, okay, Father, I love what you're talking about. I want to be that guy. I want to be able to live for somebody else. I'm the capacity. And people say it's like I'm free. I could do whatever I want. I could play any game. I could pick any job. I could do. But are you genuinely free to give yourself to her? Give yourself to your friends. Give yourself to your family, insofar as you want to. Many times it's the vices that hold us back. So there's one thing right there too. There's one little tag right there, a vice. Sometimes vice through sin, through addictions or whatever it may be. And so you're not actually completely free. Many times we're working on freeing one from this first to in order to fulfill the other three. And they're all very similar. Can you sacrifice your goods? Can you sacrifice your own relationship with other people? At its core, it's the ability to be a gift of yourself. That's what I believe at its very core, right? And so if I'm not free, it's because I'm still used to it's almost when you're young, your parents give you everything. Not only do they give you food, they hand feed it, they prep everything just for you. So it's hard to get into a moment where it's like I have to think of somebody else and live for somebody else. So it's hard. So it's part of that maturing as well and the ability to let go of your own wishes for the good of somebody else. And sometimes kind of to enlighten that, it's like, hey, put yourself in her shoes. Or can you the way that I want to live, can you place that quality on the other person and accept that? Accept that the other person be selfish and look for usually it's like when you're honest with yourself, usually and in spiritual direction, it's like, hey, if you it's honesty, right? It's gotta have to be working through honesty. So if you're honest with yourself, you realize I don't want a person like that. And I do want a person who's faithful to me. And so that means first and foremost, you need to be at the very bare minimum, no religion in this, you need to be fair. That's just human, right? So That's what I like. I love speaking about God without bringing God into the conversation because it's already here. He's made us a particular way. So I love my job. I love my job.
Like, so you kind of mentioned that there's like 2% who end up maybe being legionaries or 0.5%,
Yeah.
and you're one of them, man. Like, so I'm curious, what are those qualities in yourself that led you to kind of I guess I'm asking your vocation story, and to kind of understand what kind of makes you continue as a legionary. What are the things that make you vibe with it?
Do you remember a guy named Lewis Ho?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude,
Shout out, Lewis Ho.
Yeah, so
love him.
he just recently got married.
Mm-hmm.
His first baby is just born. So he's the one that invited me to Cheshire. Like insistently inviting me to Cheshire, inviting me to Cheshire. I was like, I don't want to go. My life is set. I'm ready. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do this. But when I answered, I realized he has amazing legionary qualities. He's like naturally generous. He's naturally creative. He has a structure. He can build teams. He can bring people. He's a mover. He's a galvanizer. I don't have those qualities. I don't. It's like, and what I do have now, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of graces, a lot of the grind, a lot of the crosses, having to go through things to where I am now. But he had it naturally. And then Viet Huang, another one that I entered with, him too. So like, I see guys, and like, what was it? I'm terrible with names. Fatzinger.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Fatzinger?
Mm-hmm.
He was my team captain. And I was like, if I'm going to be a legionary, I need to be just like him. And he's like 8 years younger than me, right? It's
Yeah.
like, God, this guy has all the qualities. And then when he left, I was like, nine people from my team went home in 2009. And I'm still here. Like, what? I'm first. I don't I don't belong here. It's like I don't have the qualities for it. And the guys who do have the qualities are leaving. What am I doing here? So, kind of long story short, in the abstract way, I'm here because I'm actually quite selfish. He's, I didn't choose it, but he's given me something that's always better when I say yes. Always, 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 always. Not easy, but always better, more fulfilling, more worthwhile, more where it makes my life worth living. And so I just continue, continue, continue. And there's so many situations where like I can't do this. Last night I was at YCP with these young professionals, young Catholic professionals. That's YCP. I was a mechanic. I was I got my hands dirty. I was not a professional. What am I doing here speaking to these young professionals? I don't know. God, you want me here and let's run with it. And so it's like my life is always just like you take the reins and it's always just been really good. I've had conversations with millionaires, with billionaires, with the team captain of a SEAL. And it's just like these people, they're hungry for something that I have. And it's just a relationship that I have with God, and they just want to hear that. So it's odd. I don't know how to explain it, but that's not really my vocation story, but kind of like the abstract reason why like I'm here because He's called me. Because there are other ones I've stood in front of many legionaries like that they've wanted to stay, they wanted to do it, but it's not a fit, and it's just not their choice, and I didn't want to stay. Yet He keeps on affirming, and He keeps on showing like the good that I can do in other people's lives. So but I'm not generous by nature. He just shows me so much beauty every time I say yes.
Wow.
So
Yeah, no, that's great. And I guess to maybe to change it up for a second, how have you adapted? Because when you entered the Legion, it was in a tumultuous situation, and you kind of joined in a I mean, you joined in the after. Yeah,
2009.
you joined like you were the
2009.
first one in after the
Hmm.
the news and the changes started coming.
Yeah.
So how's that affected your formation?
So I did not know Regnum Christi, didn't know Legionaries of Christ, didn't know anything before 2009. Zero.
That's
All I knew
really
was Lewis Ho. It's
really
wild. Yeah.
so
And so
it's
I
all
came
his
in
fault.
and no, yeah, my sister says the exact same thing. Every time she sees him, she's like, "It's your fault. It's your fault." Every single time. She hated him because she's my best friend. We're best friends, my younger sister. And she literally hates him. And every time she saw him. So for years it was like that. And it's like, why would you take him? And even worse, when he went home and I still stayed,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
just like,
that's even
anyhow.
worse.
But So I entered the candidacy. It was myself, Viet Huang, and my younger brother. And it was like the trio of us. We did everything. We like played all kinds of pranks on each other during candidacy. One of the best summers of my life. But halfway through candidacy, they said, okay, so there's this founder guy, and so he has a series of things that have come up, and da, 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 da. And I was like, what in the world? And I'm 4 years older than my brother, 5 years, no, 6 years older than my brother, 4 years older than Viet. And so I'm kind of like the alpha in this group. Like I came and they came along. Like if I kind of make a decision, it's like, so we stood out after the whole session. It was like 45 minutes of getting sucker punched in the face. Like I don't even know. Like what am I supposed to do here? In my mind, the whole time, as soon as he gave that intro, and he was whatever else was like wah 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 wah. It's like whatever. All I was going through my mind was, I either leave today or I figure this out. If I don't figure this out, we leave today. And that's exactly what I told Viet and my younger brother. That was a month into candidacy. You know how the classroom when the humanist wing, you walk outside, and then there's like the computer lounge area. Right by those steps, I had this very conversation. I said, we leave tonight. We figure this out or we leave tonight. And I said, and I just kind of paused for about 30 seconds. And within that room, there was another classroom, and there's that picture of Jesus, the legionary Jesus. And in my mind, all I thought was, the only reason why I'm here, what called me was because I saw other guys with virtues that I'd never seen before. I actually came in hoping to be a better husband, and the brothers had these virtues that I was drawn to, and I wanted that to go home and be a better husband. That's the truth, right? So when I saw these guys like Father Anthony Banning, Father Joseph Burke, I don't even know who these men were, and the brothers sitting on the table, was like, these guys have qualities I've never seen, and I thought I was a pretty happy person, and so I was drawn by that. And so if this founder had all these crazy things going on, I was thinking St. Francis, St. Ignatius, whoever, St. Dominic, if you remove the founder, who else do you have left? And I saw that picture of Jesus in the classroom. I was looking at an angle from the hallway into another classroom, and that's all I saw. And that was the reason why I was even there. And my sister's a Dominican, and I know that for her to see God, she looks at him through the lens of St. Dominic. And for me, if you remove the founder, who do you have left? Jesus. And I was like, sweet, this is perfect because I don't even know who the guy is. But obviously, and I was 25, it's not like I was an idiot. It's like there are going to be complications. But still, nonetheless, this was the greatest version I'd ever been, and I'd only known I'd known Christ in that way for 3 months. And I said, this is the greatest version I've ever been, and I don't think I could be any better of a person elsewhere. So I will stay and try to figure out, see how this is. But really, it was always with Christ from the very beginning. The complications came, but every time I said yes to my first profession, second, third, and my perpetual vow, it was, this is part of the deal. This is part of the yes. The damages that have been done from my own spiritual brothers, the damages that I will do as a sinner. And so, and into the future, I don't know, but this is all part of the yes that I'm called to respond to. That was his invitation. So that's always the lingering thing that comes in behind. But it's like when I say yes to this, and like that's how I like Christ. This is how I love you, because I don't know what's going to come from it. And I'll be honest with you. Even though I was in 2009, I entered, and did not know the founder. I had no like logged memories of these experiences. Every single time I present myself as a legionary, I'm like spiritually naked in front of the person for like a split second, and it's like, do with me as you wish. And that's not my fault. It's the fault of those who have come before me, but it's every single time are you my disciple? Like 100% of the time. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And sometimes like, oh, really, legionary. I've had both.
Mm-hmm. Was your candidacy assistant Father Edward?
Yeah, Father Edward, Father John Bender, mainly Father Edward.
Okay.
Yeah, Father John Klein.
That's right. Yeah.
How long have you been a priest now?
2 years.
Time flies.
Just a toddler.
Yeah.
Who else was in your or who else was
Oh,
ordained
Matthew.
with
So
you?
I was a COVID baby, so I can't even exactly pinpoint exactly. But from my class, it's and I'm so bad with names. I'm like even from my own classmates, I can't remember their names. But Father Michael Sester,
Okay.
the other American.
Nice.
Close to my year right after me was Father Luke Rewicki, not of my class. Father Eric Burkell, I think a year after that. And I'm trying to think of the Americans. Father Juan
Father Matthew
Pablo
Bender
Arias. And well, Father Matthew Bender just got ordained this past
this
year.
past year. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually he's just yeah, he's a priest now.
Yeah.
So he's 2 years behind me, but he was actually 2 years ahead of me, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was. Um,
Father Tamson.
Father Tamsin was a year
After
after me.
you. Yeah. That sounds
Yeah,
right.
yeah, he's in
Yeah,
California right
you
now.
got ordained early for the class.
Because I was 25 when I entered.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm smarter. I just like they gotta get
Well,
mileage out of
you
me
can
before I
pretend.
die.
We would have gone with you. We wouldn't tell anyone. We're not.
I love it. I absolutely love that. That's hilarious. Do you keep up with some of your classmates
We do. We
or other
actually
legionaries in your area?
we do. We from the international chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm using my phone, so I can't even pull that up. But in the we have a WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been like the connector for between all of us,
Yeah.
and so
That's cool.
we are in that. But the most active chat that I have is actually the our candidacy. It's all the ones who,
Oh.
whether they're entered as legionaries or not, we're still pretty active. Like Sazin, Matthew Sazin, um,
Yeah.
Abraham Imanzja.
Okay.
So,
Stuart Mast?
No.
Stuart's not in that one. He was a year after me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's see. So do you do a lot of confessions too, or is it mostly spiritual direction and that kind of stuff?
It's a mixed bag. I could have like stints of a lot
Mm-hmm.
of confession. Like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to go and help with a consecrated women's young women's retreat.
Okay.
So I'll be there for 6 hours, first with mass, and then offer confession, and if they want to have any conversation after that. So basically to be available.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well, my life was so let me put this in context. I used to I may have mentioned it with you, James, but I used to ride motorcycles. I used to like I love speed. I'm addicted
Mm-hmm.
to speed. And it's like I love the adrenaline. I love jumping off high cliffs when I'm like terrified. But there's something inside of me. A psychologist has explained it, so I understand now. But it's just like I have an attraction to adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
This life is the adrenaline is so high. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like a short-term adrenaline. When I go there for 6 hours tomorrow, I have no idea what's going to happen. It may be a completely boring day, the most standard confession, blah blah blah, same thing,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be some like something maybe a person who's confessing something since even before I was born, they haven't even gone to confession, stuff like that. It's like things happen in this life, and that as I think, well, I feel really fulfilled, and I think when people see me, they're like, "Yeah, you're a happy person." The greatest thing in my life, I can't tell people about it. It's those intimate conversations, it's the confessions, it's the conversions, and it's like it's those. So that's where it's exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was at YCP last night. There's around probably 30 young professionals, ranging from 20 to maybe 35 or so. They all have stories,
Mm-hmm.
every single one of them. And as a priest, I had the privilege to do something that no human being should have any right to have the intimacy to enter into a complete stranger's life. And they're not telling me, they're telling God, and I get to be there on his behalf and on a human level kind of like tap into and just see God work through his children. I'm just a mediator.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the load is not on me, and I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's something to it, like the some of the greatest things you probably see or hear or experience you can't relate or relay because of what's the word?
The seal of
Yeah,
confession.
the seals. Um, so I mean, I guess in some way that is kind of refreshing though, because there is kind of a lack of privacy nowadays when everything is instantaneous and you're always accessible. Someone can always call you or text you or email you.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like there's something sacred about just keeping something. There's a secrecy here. We're not going to talk about it. It's you know.
That's part of our yes too. That's part of our yes as brothers. We were speaking with each other before ordination. It's like we're gonna hold this to our death. We will hold the seal to the grave, to imprisonment, to whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Like that was a serious conversation we had with our like amongst the brothers before ordination. And especially the way the world's going today, like what you were just saying, how they're forcing it by law. It's not a question for us.
Hmm.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We already said yes to this, and if anything, we feel more strongly about it the more they try to take it away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Spencer is actually a proponent of putting microphones in every confessional, and charging for it. But I think that's a little bit immoral. I don't know how you feel about it, but
A little bit.
yeah,
Why would you do,
it's our
why
it's
Oh
why
our
would
it's
you
our
think that's a good
goodness.
idea?
it's a get rich quick, money, cash money, dollar bill mentality. Uh, we're working on our own self improvement course, and in sales, and
James is
I'm
making
making things
things
up.
up. He's just no, but I that's really really cool what you're doing, Father. You said like um, shoot, I forgot what I was gonna ask there. Sorry. Okay, maybe without sharing like names or anything, are there certain conversions that have really stood out, or certain like moments you can remember that were really special and like that you are able to share? No worries if not, of course, but just
Um,
curious.
I guess in the abstract, uh, the lay people are the holiest people. Okay, I don't want to say that in as a comparison, but it is mind blowing how holy these people are, and they don't even realize it. And when I say holy, it's the ability to love, the ability to live for somebody else. And they try to bring God into the picture with them. And imagine a parent who comes home from work, who's like a 10-hour job, who's like an hour there, an hour back every single day. And he has to mow the lawn, he has to do this, and he's still trying to be patient with his wife and his kids and so on and so forth. And he's like, Father, I don't know how. It's like I blew a fuse. Da, 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 da. It's like, I would too. I totally would blow a fuse. Look at what you're going through, all of these. But he's like, the dude is trying so hard. He doesn't even realize what is like how he's transforming as a person. And to me, I feel so little, so little, so little. This guy's a tank of a man. And these women, it's like they're going through these things where like, or vice versa, men or women, it's like my husband's cheating on me, my wife's cheating on me, and it's like, but I want to be faithful to the children. And it's like this is the cross God has given me. It's like, how do you have that strength? Where does it come from? And I'm so humbled. And it's stories like that. And it's the late, it's the people who are they're so hungry. They're searching, and there are things they confide in God that no other human being will ever hear those words from their lips. It's wild. And I'm just this instrument that gets to tap into humanity in a way that's so undeserved.
And like, do you see that relief when they share these intimate things and they had, they kind of just feel that relief of having being able to talk about it and get, a kind ear listening? Is that
So actually, the most powerful ones for me now that it's jogging my memory. And honestly, the truth is, when I hear confessions, I try my very best to get rid of it. And I like, for example, I have a really bad memory for names, and even worse with faces. And I used to come up with these systems, remember names and so on and so forth. But I realized that affects the way I hear confessions. So I abandoned all of that. And so it's as if my mind, it's a time blip. It's not like, oh, I shouldn't do it. That thing just never existed. So, but the few times where it's like for me, where I came out and I felt so overwhelmed, overjoyed, was I just shared a simple snippet or something of how God loves this person or how he sees this person or the reality of sin or their understanding something within their heart or their intelligence or how they're seeing. And it something they've been carrying for like 40 years. And one tiny little concept breaks that entire mold. And they're just like, and it's time after time. And it's like, where has this person been? Where, like, my entire priesthood was like built up just for this very moment. And I said a tiny little thing. And now their life is completely changed. Their life, their children's life, their spouse's life. Wild. Like I'm telling you, like I get to experience a snippet of humanity that no human should get to experience. It's a calling. It really is. It's so odd. Here's my bed. I'm gonna lay in it alone for the rest of my life. It's part of the calling. It's part of the calling. But the neat thing is, I don't know if you're gonna get to this. One of the coolest things about my priesthood is, remember that girl that I told you I dated for 7 years? I have loved people so much more now than I've ever loved her. I remember I was standing in front of this girl one time. I was just a brother. I was just a brother in formation. This college age girl, beautiful blonde, comes up and she's like, just like gives up. She's not a confession, but she's like, Father, I need help with this and this. Like, and I remember looking at her and I loved her. And I was thinking, no, no, I love you so much. I would do anything for you. And I will never see you again. And I don't need to ever see you again. I just need to take that pain away from you. I need to help you understand this concept or be treated better by other people, whatever. It's like, I genuinely loved this person. And then I took that. I was like, hey, I could do that with this grandmother and this grandfather and this kid and this. That was so cool. It was super cool because the fact that I didn't need anything back from her, I had the ability to give her everything. And I couldn't really make mistakes in what I said because like if I said something wrong, she doesn't like. I was never there for her to like me anyways. That's when it clicked. I love them. And I can choose to love them. And I have the freedom to walk into the street and I can go and love this guy's wife. Like with all of my heart. And I've said that to this guy before. He's like, you know what? Your wife is beautiful. I love her so much. And then I explained the whole thing. And at first he was like, dude, you know,
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I love you
but,
too. Don't worry.
but it's so cool. It's so cool, right? It's like just because I lay in a bed alone, but I mean, I entered when I was 25. Not like I haven't had any relationships with people, but the way that I get to experience it now, it's like I realized my heart was made, one person would have never been enough. And the amount that I get to love, the not just the number of people, but the amount that I love them, I don't have to reserve anything for anybody, not for my own children, not for my own spouse. I get to love with wholeheartedly. I get to love you, James. I get to love you, Spencer. What do I need from
Love
you?
you too, Father. No,
And I don't
yeah.
need anything from you.
Hmm.
That's cool.
No, that's
Isn't that
beautiful,
amazing?
man.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually am curious.
Uh-oh.
Did the
Yeah.
when you were dating, how was the did that was that what ended the relationship? Was hey, I'm feeling this call or I'm gonna try candidacy and or was this way before? Did y'all break up way before that?
Um, no, so to be honest with you, I wasn't like I was gonna say I wasn't the best boyfriend. I wasn't even a good boyfriend. But the thing was, I thought it's only in hindsight I say that. In the moment, I thought I was. I genuinely thought it was. It's like, okay, I goofed up, but everybody goofs up.
Yeah.
Okay, I did this, this, but everybody does that. I just thought that was acceptable. But in hindsight, I'm looking back, I was a selfish prick. I was only I was only patient, kind, remembered her anniversary, I did all these different things because I still wanted the relationship. Okay, think about this for a second. I would do that insofar as I could sustain the relationship. So what was I doing? I only did it so I could have the relationship for myself.
Mm-hmm. Because you were
It
too
was always
afraid of
on
being
me.
alone. Yeah.
It was always on me. I never had the capacity to love another person.
Mm-hmm.
And it disguised itself as selfless acts for the other person, but there was always a fear in the back that no, 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 I don't. I want to marry her, and it's been for so long. I don't want to like go find somebody else now. And she's like, she'd make a great wife, a great mother, but it was always back on me. It hit me in the novitiate chapel, about second year of novitiate. I was just looking at the cross. I was by myself, front pew, right in the middle. I looked up on the cross, and it was just that's a gruesome one. He's very bloodied, he's very scarred, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I never loved her because if what you do is love, I've never loved her. And so that's when it doubled down. And then, because I was actually complaining, like, God, why would you give me a relationship for 7 years to go into this relationship and like call me to something else? But I needed all 7 years to understand the depth of my selfishness and what like my ignorance, what I thought was love. And he gave clarity through that through my relationship with him, but through that moment specifically.
Dang, that's powerful. So what's her first and last name, and what's her address, and let's dox her.
I've never spoken with her. I don't know.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
wow. That's so cool, to be honest.
So I do
That
know,
is really cool.
I do know like what's going. I know that she's married. She
Okay.
has two children, maybe three now. Only because I speak with her mom. I have a great relationship with their family because I was like a son for 7 years.
Hmm.
So like the grandparents, I've spoken with them and things too. But with her, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm really excited to meet her in heaven. Like that's one of the first people. I was like, if I get a chance to like to run into somebody, I cannot wait to meet her. But here right now, I have no desire. But I just like when I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what marriage is like. But like I don't. It doesn't help her any or me
Hmm.
to be able to do that. So I pray for
Let
her
me
a
ask
lot.
you this: if let me ask you this too. If you had that realization about what love really means, like maybe at any point while you were dating before, do you think that that relationship would have lasted, or do you think you were always meant to, kind of be the servant for all people, and be able to give your whole self to your mission type thing?
Okay, I kind of understand your question. Can you rephrase it just one more time? Maybe different words. I just want to know exactly. I want to answer what you're asking.
Yeah. Like if that realization of seeing Christ on the cross and the reality of love as sacrifice and not just kind of maintaining a relationship for selfish reasons, but if you had had that realization maybe prior to dating her, while you're dating her, I'm just curious, do you think that that would have ever lasted? Or do you think it's like, no, you always kind of had this heart for all people and you were always kind of meant to, um, yeah, just, if, does that make more
Yeah, yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah. First, I can't say because that's so hypothetical, but I can
Okay.
imagine. It based on my qualities now, understand my self-knowledge and everything. If somebody had walked me through and taught me, and that's basically what I do in spiritual direction now. I walk with guys like, hey, you like guess what? It was so beautiful. I took a screenshot. I did kind of like couples like kind of counseling because they had a problem with their son, but it was so cool because I was trying to teach them how to love. Not because I'm a great lover, but because I know I see other couples, so on and so forth, and I've learned. But if someone had guided me in that same direction, maybe, maybe, and it's possible. Now, let's just say I put myself in my 25-year-old shoes for 5 years or so. Somebody walks with me. Maybe I don't think I would have ever discovered the fact that my heart was made for more than one person. Yeah, because there was nothing alarming within like my life before entering into this. But as I went through my formation, there was without a threat of doubt. And where I stand
Yeah.
now, I would not. Honestly, when people think like, don't you want to get married? It's actually not. It's not hard for me. You know what's hardest for me? Not riding motorcycles. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
I am dead
No.
serious. But because I get to love so much more than I've ever loved before. So if people want to get into marriages or relationships for love, I am not lacking. And I've had relationships with people that with people in such a way that the vast majority of humanity, they don't even know such relationships exist. And I get it in abundance
Hmm.
with like men, women, old, young, and I don't even have the words to really describe the beauty of a genuine, pure relationship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we kind of do have those a little bit, but there's always that underlying pretense of like we can have platonic relationships. I've discovered them more after 25, where there's no pretense of like like it could be with your boy or someone you were dating at one point. I have at least two friends that I was dating that we both decided, nah, this isn't gonna work out. We shouldn't keep dating, but let's be friends. And now it's like we like they'll tell me about their dates, or I'll tell them about like my own advice or whatever. We just talk about life, but there's never any pretense of like, oh well, maybe it'll work out one day. It's like, no, we that ship has sailed. We're not doing that. We're here to
Hmm.
support each other and to give encouragement and advice, and just to be that person where it's like, hey, you're 10 minutes down the street. Can we get a drink? Can we talk about something? Yeah, I'm here, or I'll be there, or whatever. Um, it's I don't know if it's really the same because there's no there's no uniform and there's no like, oh, this is a vow that I take. Like if I told someone I took vows, they'd be like, oh, okay, so you're on the spectrum, and I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Uh, but there, it is kind of, it's almost more enjoyable in a way because there is no expectation
No
of receiving
expectation.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it
Yeah,
really
like when
does.
I'm at the gym.
Yeah.
I'm not in my collar when I'm at the gym.
Hmm.
But I realize I forget that I'm not in my collar, but things don't change. But it's really beautiful because you see, it's like a smile costs nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And it's just like you see someone happier. It's like you don't need a collar to make someone else happy. It's just human.
Yeah. If I saw you in the gym, though, I'd think you were like with the FBI or something. Be like, what's this Fed doing in the gym? Probably in khakis and a polo. I'd be like, nah, I'm not.
I still wear khakis and polos, just not in the gym.
Nailed that one. Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. Do you have any fun stories from formation that you'd like to share, or just maybe some prank? You mentioned some pranks you did in candidacy. Anything?
Because we weren't
Like
allowed in
that?
each other's rooms, but we had those cubicles, right? So we had one where Abraham and Manja, we were always like on him. He's so easy to make fun of. I don't know.
Yeah.
He might actually listen to this someday, but he's so easy to make fun of because like as a natural bully, if someone's easy to pick on, you're just gonna continue to pick on them.
Yeah.
So we would always do it throughout candidacy. So one time we all hid underneath his bed. There was like 8 of us. We're underneath his bed as he comes in at night. You know, like you're pulling the
Yeah.
curtain across. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, we all pop out at him.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
hilarious, but stuff like that. But today I actually was filming because I'm on social media, and I'm actually thinking about this too. I'm posting things on from my formation through a religious life, but I want to post on snippets of the vocation. And so one of those things was exercise. So I actually was filming myself in the gym today and just doing different things. And then I want to clip and say, why is exercise important and why is X important in our formation? So I had one scene I'm going to share again. Do you remember going out to PE when it was like freezing cold outside and there was ice on the ground and you were doing
Yeah.
push-ups on the ground and everyone's like, why are you so gung-ho about this? Just relax, just calm down. And I was always dead last. I was dead last in PE. I was always dead last on every single hike. I know you guys were ahead of me. Like I was always. But then we came inside after 20 minutes, and you have what, 5 minutes to shower, 7 minutes maybe. And then if you do it quick enough, you might get one extra minute to visit the chapel. And I was like, everybody else is doing it, and it was awesome. I was 8 years older than everybody, but I was inspired by these young guys. But I remember going into the shower, like trying to take your laces off, and you couldn't because it was frozen and you couldn't move your
Yeah, yeah.
hands.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then and then you go into the shower and it's freezing cold. It's so cold it burns. It feels like it burns, and then your fingers swell as like as soon as hot water comes, and it's just like everything is itchy. So you're just in there, it's just itchy the whole time. So that was like my fond memory of Canada of the novitiate, but stuff like that. But then now they become like war stories, and but those are the things where I look back now where I can honestly you can overcome anything. There's really nothing you can not overcome with your will. And it's not white knuckling it. It's putting the proper end to my action. And so that's the school of hard knocks. I'm so thankful. I mean, there's no way if I weren't a legionary, there's no way I'd be the person I am today. I'd be a small fraction of what I've received and the human person, even wipe away the whole priesthood, everything, just the human qualities. I am I'm impressed with myself. And I don't know how to say that like without being proud, but like if my former self looks at me now, there's no way I'd be here.
Yeah. Your
And
your
it's
your Transformers cufflinks. Your
I still got them.
you still
Wow,
got
you got a
them.
great memory. You got a great memory.
Whenever I see Transformers, I'm like, brother Vin. And now it's father Vin, but
Yeah.
I.
I love making like our faith cool.
Yeah.
I do. So it's little stuff like that too, and I that hasn't changed.
That's
And
awesome.
I don't think I made it cool. It was just I discovered that it was actually just cooler and cooler as I went along, and people just take it too seriously sometimes.
Hmm.
and coming from a priest too,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
hey, I mean,
No, but
Well, and I
it
watched
makes
your
yeah. Go
sorry,
ahead.
I
Go
didn't mean to
no
interrupt,
no. Go ahead. Go
Willis.
ahead, please.
Okay. I watched your it was something that stuck out to me, and I watched your Rubik's Cube video, and one of your points at the
This
end.
one.
Also, how long did it take you to do that? I'm curious. Just
That one I've. Oh, you mean this the Rubik's cube?
like when you
I
were, how long did it take you to fix
I
it?
think 25 minutes.
Not
No,
bad,
but kids
not
are doing
bad.
it in like 2 minutes. So I
yeah.
was
I
like,
mean, the
ah,
world
That's
record is
true.
like what, 3 seconds, 4 seconds? Like it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
something ridiculous.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
Yeah,
blindfolds to
but
yeah.
like I something that stuck out to me, and you might actually have a different interpretation of this or feeling about it, but uh, one of your main points was the Rubik's cube when it's messed up is kind of our authentic selves, right? Like, and God loves us as who we are, and we always try to fix it. You know, we always try to present like this perfect image, and it's interesting that you had that reflection because like so much of my time in the Legion felt like we were trying to put on a facade and like be I mean, because it just felt like okay, you have to act this way and be this kind of way, and it's kind of cool to see that legionaries are trying to be authentic and like love people for who they are rather than like try to present really kind of do this image crafting work. I just want to get your thoughts on that. Any if that resonates for you too, or
Yeah, for sure, because
yeah,
I got to see a lot of that change. So I saw myself as those who entered in 2009, you're the guinea pig year. So they couldn't change everything right away. They changed things in stages, and it did it as you were progressing through formation. So every year I had something tweaked. It's like, oh, we used to do it like that, but now we're going to do it like this. Every single stage, they went from like 2 years of philosophy to 3 years of philosophy, and then changed the internship plan, and, blah, 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 and clothing and driving and the way we speak, the way we do team balance, all those things, they changed as I was progressing. So I got to see some of the old and some of the new too. And so one of those things was the no, the external. And so, yeah, sometimes we over like who wears a double-breasted suit to go to summer camp? Seriously. Like why? But so the way that I see it, how I interpret it now is the Legion's very young, and you're learning. Is learning with all of its mistakes, and it's like it thought that that was good because you do want to have a good image, right? And so now the whole conversation is beard or no beard. Oh no, it's from the devil if you wear a beard. It's like no, you're a sinner. No, it's like we're trying to figure it out, just like any family. And so you go overboard on certain things, but just like in any family, like what I was working with a couple today, and the conversation was, should we do everything for our son because he's getting bullied at school? Should we, talk to the bullies? Should we talk to the school? Should we get the bullies kicked out? It's like when are you going to allow your son to grow, and how much do you interfere in their lives? And so the Legion was like, how do we get these people to have a certain formation if you don't apply external means? Just like when you put on a stint on a tree, it's very ugly when we put a stint on a tree, but without that stint, it's not going to grow. Eventually, hopefully, when it grows out of it, you can remove the stint. That's the idea, right? It's the support that gets there. In my case, there's some actually for me, it didn't bother me too much because I came when I was 25, and the order and structure was actually something very beautiful. Order and structure allowed me to have order and structure internally. When externally, it's like I didn't want to do the whole 20-minute exercise and polish my shoe every time, but I was older, and so I was able to translate the external to the internal. But a lot of times when that didn't happen, that became your straitjacket, and your fidelity, your holiness was the external. That how shiny your shoes were, how straight your how ironed your clothes was, and so on and so forth. So that could be very damaging, but it requires a maturing process. It's because it's the stint. But imagine a tree that's massive, but it depends on stints to grow. That's not a healthy tree, right? And so, in the process of developing, I see in the Legion, I think obviously mistakes were made and things like that too, but there's recovery as well to where they're learning. Okay, so even from the very beginning, you're always pounding the motives, the reasons behind everything, but you still highly encourage that we still have to, like for us, we still wear a collar outside. Unless you're doing exercise and so on and so forth. That's still our uniform because I'm a religious, we have a certain image we do. But the principle for me from the very beginning, it was dignified. And not just dignified because we want to look the coolest, dignified because that Jesus, I don't have a picture of that Jesus. He's we're expressing a dignified aspect of his humanity. That's what we're called to share. So yes, some of these external things are very important. So for me, my humanity again, like where I was like, I would not be the person I am. A lot of it comes from that, but I was early to recognize um, the deeper meaning. And it's something that happened to me in philosophy where I wouldn't recommend it for most people. We studied um, shoot, what's his name now? Descartes. Then he had a system
Yeah.
of doubt,
Hmm.
right? And it's like if you
Yes.
do systematic doubts, you're not going to get anywhere. But you know what? I don't really believe in the faith. I was 4 years of religious, and I was thinking, do I really believe what they're telling me? So I did a systematic doubt in my religious education. Everything that people gave me, I would not believe it until I could prove it. And if I couldn't prove it, I would shelve it. So it's like turning the other cheek. I'm speaking about what Christ would teach through the Bible, right? Turning the other cheek, forgiving the other person, being humble, being meek, being last. I wouldn't believe that you would actually be happy, but I was like, I'm going to try it. And I'm not going to log it as something I believe until I did it. And so through philosophy, through internship, I started doing these things and like, holy mackerel, it is good. Like my humanity, my life has so much more depth and meaning and value when I live like this. And there's still things that I shelf up there, but that's okay. If it doesn't affect like how I live in the daily life or something, sometimes it's very theological ideas. That's okay. But I'm not going to teach it or say it until I've lived it myself. And every single thing Christ has said has been good. Everything. So I take my legionary formation and I try to find where does that connect. And there's certain things I don't. I'm trying to think of what I don't agree with. Really, it's like they're they're not important things like the polo shirts and the pants or whatever. It's like okay, but now so they've changed it. You don't have to all wear the same polo shirt. It's like it's dignified. And I still remind the fathers now, older fathers, is like that we do look dignified when we go to places, because we're expressing the dignified Christ. So I don't know if that really answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that appreciate that explanation. I was wearing a guayabera in Korea the other day. I was like, I wonder if that this is still a thing, and nope.
I don't think it ever was a thing. I've
I mean,
never seen
not.
it as a thing. I've never seen it. I don't think it's ever been a thing, honestly.
It was a thing. It
Yeah,
was a
that
thing in
that.
like 2008. They all wore guayaberas.
Oh, you mean like regular people?
No, 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 legionaries.
Oh,
Only
okay, yeah, yeah,
legionaries.
yeah,
Yeah, no. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. So, no, no, no. We still wear it in house. It's just still it's optional, and we don't even have to wear it in house anymore because there's a document that came out about 2 years ago where it just gave us stipulations like that it has a collar like that, and the reason why, and I give the same talk to our missionaries when they come. So we had a missionary that would come, and for the meals he would come in shorts and a t-shirt. And it's like, I mean, it's a home, right? It's like you could dress up well when you're outside and everything too, but it's a home. Like you don't have to dress so well. But so when he can't, but in our house, we still try to dress pretty well. And the reason why, this may or may not be the right reason, and the same reason why I try to dress well is because if I were home by myself and there was nobody here, I would probably do the same thing. But because I want to present myself well to you, like it's out of a respect for my brothers who have to live with me. It's like if my fathers come in and like they're all dressed in pajamas, like I'm not really. It brings the level down to where it's like it's nonchalant. We just like, but if I show you that I care about you, and through the way that I dress, through the way that I speak, through the way that I listen, it's an expression of how I care about you. So everything is an action, is a communication. So, and I mentioned that to him, and he has every right to wear a t-shirt, right? He's just a missionary. He's not a legionary. But it was like that's the reason why I'm asking that of you. It's like, and that's what I want to do for you as well. Yeah.
it's a fad, but you know what? It works. I've been in a relationship for 8 years now, and we're gonna hold hands next time. So that's interesting. It's gonna sound very cliche, very, very cliche.
But lately, in this past 2 years or so, I've actually had this even this new and like people have really helped me with this one, where I could care less what other people think of me. I really, and because but there are many ways you can approach this. I can care less because of one of these. It's not that one because that's like you're lesser than me, right? But I could care less what you think of me is because I'm not hungry for what I get from you. I'm not looking for anything from you. But with that attitude, it's giving me an utmost freedom. Like that freedom right there is priceless. How often do you go into a conversation? How often do to go on a date and you have to act and work and speak and present yourself a specific way because you need them to see a specific image of you, right? And so now you've been stripped of your freedom to be however you want to be. So if I go into a conversation to a room or a talk, it's like, I don't really care if you like me. I really don't. But I'm going to give you everything because I want to love you. And so if it's a great event, everything's like, Father Vin's like the best thing since sliced bread. Fantastic. But if he's like, this is a waste of my hour and a half, like I want my hour and a half back, that's fine. I did it for you. Whether you liked it or not, I did it. And so that freedom has given me so much joy. And it was a layperson that taught me that. It's like through their life. And it was so rather than like a role model, and it's because we do want to have approval, and it really is Christ. The only reason why I can actually because I do want approval. We all want approval. But I just want to care and I've just you beat it. You just beat it over and over and over, you form the habits. Like I want Christ to care about what I do. And so then when I'm like that, I'm free to treat you as I should. Isn't that cool? Rather than like do something so you could like me, like you're a tool.
It really is liberating to drop the concern for the opinions of other people, and just
Yeah.
that really locks you into, yeah, it's very inauthentic, and I love that. No, I
Dropping the old
appreciate
human
that. And
respect.
dropping the old, yeah, James, you got
No, no.
something?
I just wanted to ask. Do you have any anything that you didn't say that you wanted to say in this interview? We're coming close to the end now.
I do, but I want to ask you guys questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
Um, just like on the for the podcast. Well, it's not really a podcast because it may be video and everything too. But like, um, what are you looking for? What are you searching for? We're all searching. What are you searching for? And what is the or if it's too deep, I'm known to like, Father, why do you have to go so deep? It's like, what is the purpose of the podcast? Or what is the reason what brought you guys together and how has that developed? Because I've heard of you guys and Stuart has mentioned it before too, but it's always been like up there. It's one of those shelf things, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Because it's time
so I was just
intensive.
like, I've
There's
always been
yeah.
curious. Like I'm actually super excited. I get to speak with you guys, honestly. And so like I get to hear from the horse's mouth, like, um, how are you guys doing?
Well, I
And how did
think
this come about? However you want to answer it.
yeah, I think, and Spencer, feel free to cut me off at any point. Um, this started because Spencer and I would call each other, and right, we would talk a lot, and we're like, hey, why don't we? Because we'd have all these LC callbacks, and we're like, no one's else really talked about this. Why don't we talk about it in a way where people can kind of come forward and tell their own thing? Maybe you have good things to say or bad things to say or whatever. I think we all have some kind of common experience in that we feel affected uh, in a large way by our time in the Legion, and it's something for some people to kind of talk about, and especially for people at ICUS or people who were in it at a younger age, they might have things that they wanted to say that they probably didn't even understand was a thing at the time. Whereas we want to, so that was how we started. We just wanted to be a platform to kind of just goof around and talk and have an excuse to have a podcast. And it's become something where, despite our lack of quality content, sometimes we have some great episodes, but sometimes we were really struggling, and despite that, we still had a strong audience, And like it wasn't just 5 people, so we're like, what's the deal? Why are these people still listening? So we recently have been on a quest to refine the content, and we're trying to kind of expand our audience to more of or our goal is more to be accessible to anyone who has religious experiences, either younger or older. If it's positive or negative, whatever it is, we just want people to come on and tell their own experience, and we try and be amenable to any disposition, and we want to have more legionaries on, to be honest, because I mean this whole interview was so interesting to me, and I wish we had more time, but we don't expect, like, we have no, it's like a confession to us. Like, we have no idea what to expect. We have no idea what's going to happen. And at the end of it, we feel like, wow, that was really cool. That, this, I just completely, didn't remember that this person was doing all these things, and it's great to hear from them or whatever. But I don't want to take all the time. I want Spencer to be able to add any of his points.
No, that's
Thank you.
especially that point you made, James, at the end about it being similar to Father Vin, the way you were talking about confession. It's obviously not that intense, but like the way people are able to share their experiences, whether it be in the Legion or a positive experience in religion, a negative experience, the fact that we're able to be kind of this cathartic space, non-judgmental space for people to talk about their experiences. And when you ask what we're looking for, I think we're just looking for people to feel like they can come forward and share their stories and feel that camaraderie of, because James and I, we've had positive, negative religious experiences as well, and we can empathize and laugh, we can cry, whatever we need to, and that's very special to me and very meaningful. So it adds a lot to my life to be able to do this.
So have you guys found what you're looking for? Or on the journey of finding answers?
Yeah.
I would say journey, yeah.
It's definitely a journey, and I mean, I'm just grateful that people actually still come on. To be honest, that new people come on, they're like
100%.
Yeah, despite what we put out there, people are like, yeah, we'll try it. It always blows my mind, and I mean, you never know what you're going to hear. I've heard legionaries say things. I heard Father Simon Devereaux say that he went through therapy, and I'm like, that to me is like a radical idea. Like, wow, legionaries, they get to go to therapy now? What?
Yeah, I got to see a psychologist for 4 days straight.
Nice.
It was like super intense.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the greatest blessings I've had in my life.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would recommend it to everybody to go. It helped me to understand myself, to be able to better like present myself and work with understanding the raw material.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Father, it has been an absolute pleasure
likewise.
having you on our podcast.